What up, Chicken Nuggets? Tyler here with Sports Cards Are Dope podcast. And in today's podcast, we want to look at the grading trends from the past week and the month of June in the year of our Lord 2025. And so let's jump in and see what we can deduce from this. Even if you're watching this later in time, months or maybe even years from now, you can tell us if we were right or wrong. But I'd love your thoughts in the comments. But there's some crazy trends. And when I hear people talk about the gem rate number, I'm getting all this stuff from Gemrate, by the way, gemrate.com, GEMRATE.com, not sponsored by them. I just think they do a really good job of getting the stats. And if they don't do a good job, I wouldn't know any better. It looks official. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to just kind of tell you the items graded in one day. So this is just a snapshot of June 27th. So this was yesterday or 2 days ago. PSA graded 68,000. This is total cards, sports and non-sports. So they call it TCG is non-sports. It's mostly Pokemon, but Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, stuff like that. And so PSA graded 68,000. CGC is second with 20,000. CGC has been like going crazy. Like SGC's been holding second place for like 2 years now, I want to say. Like minimum 2 years, they've been second place. But now SGC is like half of them. And it's not that SGC's dropping because they're up 38%. The difference is CGC is seeing huge rise. And it's because, from what I can tell, CGC is huge in Pokemon. And I think, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, somebody told me this, and I don't know if it's legit. They said the reason CGC has like been grading and doing so many more the past like 2 months is because they are putting a lot of Pokemon stuff into, I want to say GameStop repacks, or maybe it's an online repack. Let me know in the comments if you've heard this. I did a little quick search, but I didn't go where in the world's Commerce San Diego on this thing. I just kind of gave it a quick look, and somebody told me that. So, and Beckett is down. Beckett is down almost 30%. What SGC is up 38%, Beckett is down 30%. And Beckett was already well behind, and they only graded 1.6 thousand. Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think Beckett's about to get bought out by Fanatics. I think it's got a great brand, just like Topps is a great brand name, and Fanatics bought it. Beckett. I mean, all of us looked at Beckett's when we were in the 90s. If you're old enough for that. We all looked through Beckett's. We used to mark them off and do checklists. Beckett was like the golden standard before eBay became more like where we look for prices for cards. And so I genuinely think Fanatics going to buy Beckett because I think Beckett was pretty. I didn't see a booth at Fanatics Fest, but PSA didn't have a booth. SGC didn't have a booth. And I didn't hear SGC. I don't think it was that they were not allowed to. I just think from what I heard, they just didn't see the advantage in it. Or maybe they weren't. Cause I think PSA tries to set up at everything. Okay, so that's just a quick look. So yeah, PSA at number one. A third of them is CGC. Half of them is SGC. And then 20% of them is Beckett. So Beckett is just RIP, my boy. Honestly, though, like if I took over, I need to make a whole episode on like what I would do is if I took over Beckett. So here are some grading trends, though. Here's what I want to look at. I'm just going to you can look at the numbers, gemrate.com, but I've kind of broken this up into 3 sections. I've got my notes here. So here's the deal. When people say, look, PSA is grading so much more, they are grading more than a lot of people, but if you take Pokemon out of it, it's 60% of all graded cards are Pokemon. And that's mostly PSA and CGC. SGC hardly grades that many Pokemon compared to sports. Like, they're almost exclusive. Like, they do grade TCG, but that's not a big chunk of their number. Whereas CGC, it's a big chunk of their number, and PSA, it's over half. So less than half of that is actually sports cards. I know this is called the Sports Cards Are Dope podcast, but I think that's a huge trend, and we all know, like, we've been hearing that Pokemon's been popping off the past 6 months. But let's compare that to this. You ready? In the month of June, or a little over, the past 30 days, they have graded just under 1 million TCG cards. That stands for Trading Card Game. So mostly Pokemon, but TCG has almost 1 million. You ready? 1 million. That is more than baseball, football, and basketball combined across all those grading companies. 1 million for TCG. Then you got second was football, which we're rolling into football season, so a lot of people are grading footballs. It's about 200,000 in the past 30 days. And then you got baseball at 175,000, and basketball just ended, so it was third out of the main sports, which is 125. That's crazy. That is crazy. Half of the big three was how many were graded compared to TCG. That's insane. TCG is it's like if this is the Grammys, TCG is Taylor Swift, and she dropped 3 albums in a year. That's what we're looking at. And I think here's my prediction on this. The reason is, yes, it's a lot of young people, but then it's all older people that aren't into sports. Sports are not as, yes, they're popular, but it's not as popular as we think just because we like sports. Like, I didn't even really watch basketball until 2015, and I love basketball. So you can imagine, like, what people are doing that aren't into it every single day. And so if you're thinking, like, it's just not as big of a market as we think. Whereas Pokemon, it's got people that grew up on Pokemon, in the 90s, early 2000s, like, that are becoming adults. But then you also got young kids. And it's like, it's family friendly. Like, yes, they have a TV show, but like, they don't have to, it kind of crosses languages and the language barrier, if you will. Like, I have a booth at a flea market, and very early I realized what I sell the most of is Pokemon. Pokemon stuff sells well. Like, I got a ton of sports cards, but Pokemon just has a bigger audience. I see people come in all the time, kids, adults, like whoever. They just want to come in and drive that nostalgia train. It's just insane how much you're seeing that grow compared to sports cards. Okay, so this is my second thought. Who's driving this grading bus? So who's driving the grading bus? And like looking at companies, looking at categories. And so in the last 30 days, we've seen just over 1.5 million cards graded. 61% of those are TCG. And here are the top climbers for TCG. Pikachu. These are the most graded individual cards and characters. Pikachu, Charizard, Eevee, Umbreon, and Mew. And I've heard of all those. Obviously, Charizard's kind of like, that's like the Michael Jordan. Like, it's continued to be relevant. Whereas Pikachu, I know they make the movies about Pikachu, but Charizard's kind of the one that we've always seen the price in. If Charizard is MJ, Pikachu is LeBron. Like, that's where we're at with this, and it's just insane. Now, with those, another analogy, what I'm seeing in the trends is Eevee. Like, that is comparable in sports cards to like Caitlin Clark. Like, Caitlin Clark is just her cards are selling like crazy, and they're sought after. Like, there's a huge market. Like, I've probably gone to three or four pretty decent sized card shows, Fanatics Fest, Nashville, and another one. I've gone to some in the past 4 or 5 months. The trends I'm seeing is way more Pokemon. I went to a Houston show back in January. I'd say it's probably 70% of the tables are Pokemon, and it was not advertised as a Pokemon show. It's just that's where the customers are, and so that's what brings in those dealers, and they make sales. The other big thing I'm seeing move is WNBA, especially Caitlin Clark. My Caitlin Clark stuff sells immediately. I did a live. People were begging for Caitlin Clark, and this is like ladies, gentlemen, all the above. Like, people are just like enthralled by this woman and how she plays the game of basketball, and it's been really cool to see that rise in a sport that I think honestly has been underappreciated for far too long. Okay, so let's look in the next section. So can we see this increase for Pokemon? Can we see that as a hobby shift, or is it just a phase? People have been saying for months, you're going to see this Pokemon thing go down because the prices are way higher, and they were equating it to the 2020 boom with regards to sports cards. If we look at the top, I'm looking at the stats, of the top 15 most graded cards last week, in the last 7 days, of the top 15 most graded cards, 13 were Pokemon. 13 of the 15 top graded cards were Pokemon. Charizard and Pikachu had 28,000 cards graded this week alone. Okay? Of the sets, if you're curious, Terrestrial Fest and Journey Together are kind of like the two big ones that we're seeing. Oh, get this. All right, so look at this. I love this stat. Trending players and subjects of the past week. I'm looking at it, and I mean, it literally, the top 25 are TCG. You ready? Third place is a basketball player. See if you can guess before I say it. That's right, Cooper Flagg. Last week, Cooper Flagg drafted number 1 in the draft last week. He's third. And then after that, it's just, I don't know, half of these Pokemon. And then you got a baseball player around 25-ish is Bobby Witt Jr., and then about 10 more TCG. And then you got Anthony Edwards in basketball still being graded. And then about 10 more TCG. And then you got Nolan Ryan had a bunch graded. That's crazy. Okay. Pretty interesting. All right, so then of the sets, if we look at the sets from the past week, there's 7 or 8 Pokemon, and then you've got Panini Prism Football. And then you've got about 10, 12, is that about 7 or 8 more Pokemon, and then it's Panini Prism WNBA. So that was a trending set. So that's trending upward. These are trends, not total grades. It's trending upward. So WNBA Prism graded a lot. So you got, oh, sorry, I skipped one. Of the sports, you ready? Number 1 from sports is Panini Prism football. Number 2 is Panini is Donruss football. You may have seen these on the shelf. I just saw them at Walmart earlier today. And number 3 is WNBA basketball. And then, I mean, I'm serious. There's like 40 TCGs. And then we got football optic, mosaic, and then Prism basketball. Dang, it is like 7th on that list is NBA. That's crazy. I don't even see any baseball. That's nuts, okay? Trending cards, I'm just looking at just a slew of Pokemon. Let's see. Trying to see if there's any specific cards that we're seeing trends on. Oh, no, nothing. Okay, so now let's see what this means. I'm going to kind of give a little recap on what I can see from this. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? What are you seeing? What are the trends you got, okay? How should we as sports cards collectors react to this? What's our feeling? Because I know very often, I don't know if you would call sports card people in the comments passionate is a nice way to say it. Some people are crazy. And I'll be honest, yeah, I'm just going to go admit to it. Every now and then, if you see where I am at Walmart buying a box, because I don't buy a lot of wax, but it does really well on videos. And so every now and then, I'll be like at Walmart and I'll see a box of cards. So I'll film it and I'll say, trying to hit a black 101 $1 million card. I know I can't get it out of that retail box. I know I can't. You know what that's called? It's called rage baiting. I do it, and most of my like communities like TikTok and Instagram and even YouTube, like they know like I'm just messing around. But that Facebook, they crazy. And it bounces up on Facebook, and if it rides the algorithm wave, people lose their... I got one video I did. I was like trying to hit that 101 black, Prism, whatever. And I just open it up, make some jokes. People lost their minds. But guess what happens when they comment? It's called rage baiting. You're baiting them to get mad and go in the comments. You'll actually see this is a little marketing thing. If you ever go and you see a popular, YouTuber or TikToker, Instagrammer, and they obviously spell a word wrong or like use the wrong your or the wrong there. If they spell a word wrong in the video and they put that text on the screen, they're doing that because they know people are going to correct them in the comments, and that adds to the algorithm and helps, because the algorithm doesn't know what they're saying in the comments. They just know this post is connecting with an audience. It's getting feedback. Let's show it to more people. And so keep that in mind. I rage bait whenever I say I'm going to hit a black 101 out of a retail. Other people are rage baiting whenever they do like, they spell something wrong, or if they have something in the background that's like super random. Like that, is it Justin Mulaney? Is that a name? The guy that goes, listen, and then he tells you a fun fact. He'll have it to where it looks like a body bag laying on the ground, and he'll just ignore it because he knows people in the comments are going to talk about it. So, all right, sorry. That was just a little side note, just a little bonus for you guys. How should we, if you're a sports card collector, because this is sports cards are dope, not Pokemon is dope, how should we react to the rise of TCG? My opinion is don't see it as a threat, see it as a funnel. You are getting people in the door who feel familiar with grading cards, looking up prices. I know you got TCG players, so that's a different place to look up prices, but people are still going to reference eBay when these kids come to their table occasionally. Like, you're going to see people get their foot in, like dip their little toesies in the community pool, which we hope is clean and free of urine. If they dip their toes in that pool, the community pool, hopefully they get a little comfortable so that they want, oh, I got a baseball player I like, or, oh, this guy's from my state. I'm going to get his card at a show, or I'm going to open a pack, and then they know how to grade. Now, my thought, now I love your opinion, because CGC is so TCG heavy, do you see that becoming more and more prevalent in the sports card space? Because I don't see a lot of TCG. I love CGC. I think they're a great company and they do a really good job. And I've spoken to a couple of the people there. They are super kind, and like, I think they grade cards well. But they have not integrated into the sports card community to where I see them very often. I don't see them. I mean, I'd say it's literally less than 1% of the graded cards I see at shows are in a CGC slab. Now, a ton of the Pokemon stuff is in there. But do you guys think that this could lead to more and more people coming into the hobby through the Pokemon funnel? Do you see that as a possibility for people to start grading more and more with CGC? Just a thought, throwing that out there. And I know PSA, like over half their stuff they grade is CGC, so that helps them get there. But I don't know. I just feel like this could lead to a comfort because people go where they're comfortable. They go to what they're used to. I'm used to grading through here. I'm just going to keep doing that. And that's what they like. I could see a future hobby collector telling their story on their podcast, and then when the big collectors in the space, and they started out trying to chase Umbreon and grade it, and then they moved on to Luka Doncic, who has won 7 championships for the Lakers. This is the future, remember? This is the future, okay? A little analogy, if I may. TCG is like the Fortnite of the hobby, whereas sports cards are maybe like your Call of Duty. So it's like you can, like more people can play Fortnite, adults play it, kids, all that, but you'll see more kids get in that way, and then maybe they move on to one of those. So that could be something to keep an eye on going forward. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like this kind of look at gym rate, looking at those and kind of talking through these numbers? I'm fascinated. I love stats. I used to teach math, and so I love this stuff. So if you don't like it, we can stop. But if y'all like talking about it and discussing it, let's do it. And this one was kind of my first where I've really looked at gym rate and kind of broken it down. I would love to know if you guys like including Pokemon in that, or if you want me to start looking at some of their stats that are just sports cards. And we might try that next time just to see if y'all like it. So thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it. If you've spent any amount of time watching any of this, if you're on, Spotify or Apple, thank you. YouTube, even better. Thank y'all so much for listening. This is Sports Cards Are Dope, and so are you. Later. Bye, y'all.